let's start out with the power rankings again. Okay. The Eagles were ranked 3 on ESPN's power ranking. We're ranked 6.
I think we were 7 at some other.
We were 5 last week.
But now we
won.
Who went ahead? Who jumped our spot?
Well, I would imagine it's Minnesota Vikings.
That's probably who it was.
Yeah, it was Minnesota Vikings. They were at 6 last week. Actually, I'm surprised that we weren't at 6 because they actually have a better record than we do. They're 11-2. We're 10-3.
Mm-hmm.
So why they were at 6 last week, I have no idea why. But we're at 6. I think that's a fair ranking, and going into week 15. And the only reason I say that is because I think ESPN does a good job at their rankings, and that's why I always go off them. And Philadelphia is ranked 3rd, but going into this game, I would have almost guaranteed that the Eagles would probably blow us away. That we would have a really hard time because it's in Philadelphia.
They have a really good running back.
Yeah, they have a great running back.
Yeah.
It seems like that Hurts is playing at
like a
top of his game.
Yeah, he's like a dual threat. He can run, he can pass, he can.
But here's my only reservation now. Okay. They almost lost to Carolina. How is that possible? Carolina's ranked 29th in defense, and I think they're around 26th or 27th in total offense.
And
so how did they almost beat Philadelphia?
Yeah, and this is the game.
Going into the fourth quarter, Carolina had the lead.
Yeah, and right now I'm looking at the game that me and you watched, which was the Eagles and Ravens. The Ravens was close, but we beat the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
But the Ravens and the Eagles game was close, 24-19. And by the way, that was the game that Justin Tucker missed 2 field goals and an extra point. So the Ravens could have won that game if they had Boswell.
Yeah.
If they had Boswell,
I'll tell you what, that guy's capital skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if he's on a long-term contract now or not.
He's got to be the highest paid.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. This guy deserves it. Okay. And I go back. Wasn't he, maybe I'm wrong, but wasn't he a walk-on?
He was undrafted. I think he was in the practicing squad for a few teams. One of them, I think, was Texans. And then the Steelers picked him up. They said, "Oh, you're
a diamond in the rough." Yeah. I'll tell you what, because that's exactly what happens. The Steelers, they do a good job
at scouting and finding hidden talent and bringing that out. Especially when you see the Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. One's called a bust, the other one's called washed. What happened? The Steelers managed to change them and shine them up a little bit,
Yeah.
And that's just the Mike Tomlin in the Steelers organization. They can take, I put this in a comment on Facebook, they could take a quadriplegic and they can have a winning record with them. They could take any quarterback, and we've seen this over the last couple years. All the quarterbacks that we had are backups. Mason Rudolph, Mitch Trubisky, Kenny Pickett. They're all backups everywhere. And the Steelers managed to pull records that not even San Francisco can do this year. It's honestly incredible to see what the Steelers organization can do with what they're given.
And it seems to me that a lot of these analysts are now kind of saying, "Hey, we made a mistake when it came with the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't think they were even going to have a winning season this year."
Yeah.
And they surprised everybody.
And
now, going back to the Hard Knocks and seeing Tomlin.
Yeah.
Does he deserve Coach of the Year this year? And he's never had it. This is his 18th winning season.
If it was to me, I think it would be between Dan Campbell and Mike Tomlin. And Dan's from the Lions, and he changed that team completely over the past 3 or 4 years.
But if he didn't have it last year.
But the thing is, he should have won it last year. Okay, they managed to take the Lions, which is super poverty, like 75 years of history or 100 years, I'm not sure how many, but somewhere around there. And they're poverty through and through. Okay, but Dan manages to change that, go to the championship, and the Browns win it. Okay, the Browns coach wins Coach of the Year last year. I'm like, what?
Well,
what?
Yeah, but you, like, when it comes to Tomlin, I mean, more than half of his career as coach for the Steelers, he basically had the team of Cowher.
Yeah.
It was Cowher's team that he kind of just rode until he could no longer ride it. You think now, being that he's building a team?
I think he should win Coach of the Year. I think, first of all, going back to Dan, just if he didn't win it last year, I don't think he should win it this year because you're looking for improvement in a year-to-year basis of what has changed on the team and have they got better. I don't think you could get very much better than going to the championship. But with Mike Tomlin, look at the changes that has happened. Entire brand new quarterback room that doesn't have a single person that was from last year. A new offensive coordinator, which basically changes the entire brains of the team, because what that essentially does is a hard reset. They're learning something new. It's a whole new scheme. Getting rid of their wide receiver 1 and replacing him. Getting rid of Deontay Johnson, which, by the way, he hasn't done very good to the teams that he's been put on. He hasn't done that good in Carolina because they traded him. And he actually got suspended a game
because he didn't want to go in. He didn't want to play.
He didn't want to play against the Eagles. So that was a smart, genius move from Mike Tomlin. He knows his team. That's what I see. And then the decision that no one agreed with. Oh, don't get rid of Justin Fields. He's 4-2. Don't get rid of him. Why get rid of him? He has a winning record. And me and you are thinking, if this was any other coach, they'd keep Justin Fields in. So why switch for Russell Wilson? He hasn't,
Well, everybody.
We don't know how good he is.
Everybody thought that.
Everybody.
Every analyst, sports guru, they were all like, yeah, I think even Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
Even said, no, you keep Justin Fields in.
Especially when Justin Fields against the Raiders, I think Justin Fields had like 32 points against 13 or something. Let me look into this. I want to see the Steelers' schedule. But just the last game that Justin Fields played entirely, he did fantastic. Okay, yeah. The Steelers won 32-13 for the last game that Justin Fields played.
Yeah, how do you sit there with a quarterback that leads you to a score of 32-13
and say, let's take him out.
Okay, we're going to take you and you're going to sit. And we're going to take this other guy that hasn't played a snap
since December
in the regular season, and we're going to put him in.
And let's see how it works out. He wasn't that great on the Broncos. Let's see what he can do on the
I owe it to Tomlin because Tomlin said in the beginning, Russell Wilson's our
QB1.
Yeah, he's our QB1. And we're waiting for him to get healthy. Now, I know that other analysts, sports gurus, they were sitting there going, is he hurt, really?
Yeah, and people are like calf injury. Yeah, he doesn't want to play.
Well, guess what? Guess what? He was hurt.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that he wasn't in. It's because he was hurt.
And people compared him being hurt to, he's too old. He's very injury prone. The first game that Russell plays, 15-37. So it's an even bigger spread than it was with Justin Fields last game, and everyone's like,
and he was actually throwing touchdown.
And right now, Russell Wilson currently has a better record than what Justin Fields had in the first 6 games.
He's 5-1, right? Or is it 6-1 now?
I think he's 6-1. I'm pretty sure. He's 6-1. He
6-1.
He is 6-1.
So Justin Fields was 4-2.
Yeah.
Wow.
How can you say that Mike Tomlin doesn't deserve Coach of the Year? He completely deserves.
Because I think it's one of those things where you have all these other people saying one thing. Coach Tomlin says,
let's do another.
This is what we're going to do. Sticks to his guns and proves everybody else wrong. Now, at the beginning of this year, I was frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely frustrated. And it was, my hands were up in the air, and I'm like, what is this team doing?
Especially with that first game when we were getting nothing but field goals.
Yeah, I'm like, what is this team doing?
Yeah, we're like, this has got to be all year.
Yeah, this is going to be another, it's like, I'm now off the Tomlin bang.
I think if we go back, we actually are talking saying
negatively.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin, he has to
maybe
go.
His time's up in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
it's like, and like everybody else, I was wrong. I mean, he's a really good coach.
Yeah,
and again, if you watch that HBO Max,
Hard Knocks,
you'll get a new respect for Tomlin.
You'll understand why the floor for the Steelers is a winning record.
Mm-hmm.
You'll understand why the floor is 9-8. Because I guarantee you, if any other coach was put in Tomlin's place, they would be like the Browns. Like 3-10, 3-11.
So we're heading to Philadelphia.
Yes.
Okay. Battle of Pennsylvania. Okay. They're a really good team.
No, I'm not denying that. They have a really,
and they're on fire right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so confused because they barely beat the Panthers. It was in the fourth quarter. And the Panthers are just dreadful. I think they've gotten a little bit better, but not to the point where they almost beat Philadelphia. I'm very confused about this game and the direction I'm going to go in.
Yeah, this, in my opinion, this is going to be the hardest game of the year thus far.
At 1 minute, 1 second, I want to sit there and say, well, I'm going to pick the Steelers. But on another, it's like, how do you pick the Steelers when Philadelphia is doing so well? They're playing at home. It's a real hostile environment. And it's like, it almost comes down to which team's going to show up. Which Steelers team's going to show up,
mm-hmm.
and which Philadelphia team's going to show up.
And I think another thing to note, because you mentioned Carolina was playing away. So they were playing at Philadelphia. All right? So this wasn't like benefited towards the Carolina crowd or whatnot. Like, this was all Philadelphia people.
And on these turnovers, I said this in the last episode, Philadelphia is a +5 on turnovers, or a +4. They're a +4 on turnovers. The Steelers are a +17. And it may come down to
a mistake.
And who does that benefit? The Steelers. The Steelers this year are amazing with their turnover ratio.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're not getting sacks, but they're getting strips. The ball's being stripped out of the hand of the quarterbacks. I mean, that's happened 3 or 4 times in the last few games.
When I look at the injuries, because I think this is super important, I'm looking at ESPN because the Steelers website, they start from Wednesday up until Friday. Well, we're recording this on Tuesday, so.
Yeah.
On ESPN, it says that Pickens is not expected to play against the Eagles. So, earlier I was talking to you about this. Earlier, I was thinking that the injury was related to him having the unsportsmanlike. So I thought it was like
they were just.
I think what they call them are ghost injuries, where an injury just comes up all of a sudden, but it's not an actual injury, but just an excuse. Well, to this, it kind of looks like it might actually be an injury, and I never said that it was 100% because George Pickens' attitude.
Yeah,
but it was a question. Was it or was it not? Mm-hmm. Well, according to this, it looks like it's probably not going to be. It looks like that he's actually injured, and it says that his hamstring looks like he might not be able to play. It says he's questionable. And then Larry Ogunjobi, it says that Ogunjobi won't return to Sunday's matchup versus. This is talking. Why is this one talking from the previous game? It says Cleveland, but this one says Eagles.
Well, here's what I got, and this comes from CBS Sport.
Okay, so you're
1 hour ago. This is 1 hour ago. Okay, it's brand new. Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin confirms Tuesday that Pickens' hamstring is unlikely to be available for Sunday's game against Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Mike DeFabo, I think that's how you pronounce that, of the Athletic reports, if you pressed me, I'd probably say he's out or could be categorized as doubtful, Tomlin said of Pickens' status.
So
chances are
he won't play.
He won't be playing against Philadelphia. That in itself
is concerning.
If we beat Philadelphia without Pickens,
then we might as well jump all the way up to 3.
Well, I'm just saying, it's not even that. We have a good chance of making it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Because if we can beat Philadelphia without our best receiver, and probably one of the best receivers in the NFL.
Yeah, his hands are crazy.
Yeah.
His hands are absolutely ridiculous.
But we're going to have to rely on, I think we're going to have to rely on two things. One is our running game, which I hope that really takes off. I think Warren's been playing really well, so I hope he continues that.
It seems like Najee, he's too inconsistent.
Yeah,
this game he hasn't done that well.
And I think, which I mentioned just a little bit ago, the turnovers. We need to create some turnovers and capitalize on those turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
We can't get a ball in the 48 and settle for a field goal. We need to capitalize on field possession and turnovers and things like that, which I think we can, but we can't settle for field goals against a team like Philadelphia. That's not going to do it. And I think it's important to note that we really don't know what injuries Philadelphia has. Do you have any idea about that?
When I look, it says that Sidney Brown and Reed Blankenship are questionable, and they're both safeties. I heard Philadelphia has really good cornerbacks, and when I was looking at the draft, I noticed that their first...
Well, that's why I said we have to run the ball.
Their first 2 picks, from what I can jog from my memory, was cornerbacks.
Well, we not us, but Carolina actually kept A.J. Brown to only like 48 yards reception. So if we can do the same... Now, if Porter can go out there and
play clean,
then we have a chance. He can't get any pass interference. You just can't hand them the game.
Yeah.
And that's how you're going to hand them the game.
Yeah. So, I'm not sure about Larry Ogunjobi. It just gives an update for the upcoming Cleveland's game. But I think they updated Pickens just because that report came out an hour ago. I don't think they've talked about Larry Ogunjobi yet. But I think I agree with you. It comes down to mistakes. Who can make
our running
game? Who can make fewer mistakes and take advantage of the opponent's mistakes?
It's going to come down to our running game because we're going to have to run very well because we're going to have to own time of possession, which we really have done pretty well. Now, this Cleveland game, and I looked this up earlier, it was 30 minutes, 30 minutes. I've never seen that in a game where it's exactly 30 minutes, exactly 30 minutes. So the time of possession was cut down the center. But previously to that, we've actually owned time of possession. We need to go into Philadelphia. How are we going to do that? Well, the only way that we're going to be able to do that is maintaining a running game.
Yeah, and not having 4 3-and-outs like this Browns game.
But that's going to be very difficult against a Philadelphia stingy defense. They're the number one defense, I believe, in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yes. They've only allowed 284 yards per game.
The
average.
The good thing about the
number one.
The good thing about the Steelers defense is that their pass rush puts so much pressure on the quarterback that I think the Steelers can attempt to minimize Saquon Barkley in his running game, in his running ability. I think it's going to come down to passing. Who's better at passing? But I do believe that the Eagles are going to try to develop a running game right from the get-go.
Well, I don't think that Jalen Hurts, their quarterback, I don't think if we can stop Jackson from running the ball, Ravens,
they can stop
Hurts from running the ball.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to have to come down to their running back. I think we do very well against the run. I think there's certain times that they can break one, but I think we'll do pretty well there. What's your pick for this?
So earlier in the week, I was thinking Steelers, but considering that George Pickens is questionable and Mike Tomlin doesn't think he'll be able to play, I don't think he'll be able to play. I'm going to have to pick the Eagles for the win. I think there's too many things going against the Steelers. It's going to be a away game. Our wide receiver one's going to be out. And I just think the weapons that the Eagles have right from the get-go, like from what I can think of, a lot of them are just healthy. Okay, so I think the Eagles, with their quarterback and with their wide receivers that they have, and just how Joey Porter's been playing, it hasn't been the greatest. And then Saquon Barkley, I think that we're going to struggle. And I do agree it's going to come down to mistakes, turnovers, how clean Russell Wilson could play, and the Steelers trying to make interceptions, trying to catch them. I think it's going to be the Eagles because I think that the Steelers have too much going against them this game. So,
well, I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's whose defense can, get off the field the quickest. Okay. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to come down to a time of possession. I think the Steelers do very well owning the time of possession. I was actually going to do the opposite. I was going to pick the Eagles, okay, until I seen how they played against Carolina and how a really bad Carolina team almost beat them on their turf, okay? So I think it's going to come down to turnovers. I think it's going to come down to time of possession. I think it's going to come down to
mistakes. And
I think it's going to come down to the running game and how Warren and Harris play. And I think they're going to step it up because they're going to have to, because Pickens probably will not be in there. So I am going to pick the Steelers to win this game. I think it's going to be a close game, probably like 17-14 or something like that. And we have the best kicker in the NFL. And even if it comes down to field goals, I have
all I will say is if this is a blowout game and the Steelers smoke them, which I highly doubt, but if this miraculously happens, my jaw is going to drop on the floor.
Well, that doesn't happen very often with the Steelers, but I don't think it's ever going to be like like
the Browns,
a Chiefs game. Yeah, right. The Chiefs, they have so many games that they've won by less than 7 points, but they barely win. Just like this past week, a doink, it goes off the upright and they end up getting the field goal, and it's like that stinks.
Yeah,
because I think they were outplayed in that game. But that's it.
So I'll end in prayers.
Yeah.
Lord, I pray over all the players and all the fans that will be traveling to the stadiums to watch your favorite team play, Lord. And I pray that all of them drive and travel safely. And I also pray for these upcoming weeks as the road gets more narrow and more of the teams are either super excited, super stressful, or just felt defeated because they didn't earn the playoffs, Lord. I just pray that you open up their eyes and that they acknowledge and understand that no matter the outcome, it was under your decision, Lord, and that all will benefit you, and there's reasons behind these outcomes, Lord, and I pray that the players that are successful, that are pushing the limits, I pray that they get to take the time to rest upon you, Lord, and not be boastful or just brag and all the above, and just play humbly, Lord, in your name. Amen.
Amen. Well, we'll see you next week. I'm Gary, and this is Alex Petrie, and together we're GAP GAB.
See you guys next time. Bye.